Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for coming back to another video. If it's your first time, thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. Welcome to the family, welcome to the community. Really hope that you guys subscribe, smash a like on the video and drop a comment. As you guys can see, I'm here doing a sit down with you guys. I haven't done a one-on-one sit down in a little while and I feel like I've been neglecting my international students who are here in Canada, persons who are fresh in their journey, persons who are probably finishing school. I haven't done a video that is tailored specifically for international students in a while, so this video is actually tailored for international students. And as the title suggests, what I will be talking about is all the things you should be doing in your final semester that will make your transition to a postgraduate work permit and ultimately permanent residence easier, right? This video is even specific more so for persons who are here with their family, with their spouses, or with their kids. This video is for you, right? Now, if anything that I said resonates with you and you are interested in this content, as I said before earlier in the video, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Smash a like on the video and drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from, and also if you're here in Canada, where in Canada are you? Now, quick background for many of you guys who probably seen my face for the first time. My name is Dems. I'm a Jamaican who is living in Alberta, Canada. I came to Canada with my family in 2019, and ultimately I've since graduated school and you know, living the Canadian dream. That's my story. I have tons of videos where I go in more in depth about my transition, what was it like, and all of that. Now, one of the biggest things that people don't understand is that what you do as a student can really affect or influence how easy or hard of an immigration process you have, right? So being a student and a study permit actually is preparing you for what comes next, right? Not a lot of you guys know that, but I don't think you guys actually understand the magnitude of how much that really plays a role, right? Like for me, I was very fortunate enough to get a job while I was in school. So when I graduated school, I just became full-time, and it was a job that was a part of what was considered the NAC, which is now changed over to something else. Do as much research as possible to find out about the job classification and how is it relevant to you as an individual. Now, as an international student, you are expected to be in school for full, while school is in session, you are expected to be a full-time student. That is the only way you're going to be qualified for a postgraduate work permit. Now, a full-time student is different in many provinces, but in the province of Alberta, once you're doing at least 9 credits or 3 courses, you are considered to be a full-time student. I know that some persons are in some provinces say that you have to do a minimum of 5 courses in order to be a full-time student. I can't speak about all the provinces or about all the colleges because ultimately I went to school in Alberta. But in Alberta, you definitely can do 3 courses, which is 9 credits, and that would be considered full-time. But what a lot of persons don't know is that in your final semester, you can actually go to school part-time, right? So your last semester before graduating, you can actually go to school part-time, and it doesn't affect your postgraduate work permit. Now, when I was in school, I could have only worked 20 hours per week. I know that the government has changed a number of stuff, and now international students who are already in Canada can work more than 20 hours per week. So some of the stuff might be a little bit different, right? But whilst you can go to school on a part-time basis, when I was in college, you still couldn't work full-time while school is in session. But of course, that's going to be a little bit different now, right? Now, the flexibility of being able to go to school part-time was something that was very beneficial to me because of course I had my family here. Nats was here, Malika is here, so it gave me a lot of time to take some responsibilities off Nats. So I did only 1 course in my final semester, so and I was only able to work part-time still, so I was able to start networking more. Not only was I networking more, but I was able to start helping out Nats a bit more in terms of picking up, dropping off, stuff like that. So everything was a little bit easier where that is concerned. So as I said, if you're in school and you're approaching your final semester, it's very important to note that you are able to go to school part-time as long as you're graduating at the end of that particular semester. Now, that being said, now you have the opportunity to work full-time. So if you are going to school part-time in the final semester, you are able to work full-time in your final semester, because ultimately, because the government kind of lift the restrictions, so in your final semester you can actually get ahead of the game and start make some money. Now if you're here with your family and your spouse is on a spousal open work permit, it's very important to note that in order to extend your spouse's permit, and if you have dependent children, their visitors record, you have to have a specific kind of job. Now, when it was the NOC classification, it had to be a ABRO job, right? So the person who's graduating college, you have to be employed in a NOC code job, ABRO, in order to extend your spouse's permit. It's very important to note that, guys. And a lot of persons get caught by that because whilst it's easy to get a job, well, let me not say that. Whilst it's easy to get a job, some places in Canada, it's very difficult to find a specific kind of job. So when you are in your final semester, you want to use that time as well to make sure that if you haven't gotten a job which is in a specific classification that is going to allow you to extend your spouse's and your children's status in Canada, this is the time that you need to start looking. You need to start looking aggressively, because ultimately your family's future depends on you, right? Now, to get a postgraduate work permit, you don't even need to have a job as a past student, right? So in other words, the student is not really impacted by finding a job in a specific classification, because as soon as you get your letter of completion from the college, you can submit your postgraduate work permit application even without having a job offer. So as an individual, for the student, it's not necessarily required for you to have a job in a specific classification. But if you have family, you have to have a job in the specific classification in order to extend their permit, in order to extend their visitors record and stuff like that. And when I was doing it, and I think it's pretty similar right now, you have to have at least 3 pay slips. So you can't get the job today and then apply for the extension today. You have to get at least 3 pay slips from that job to submit with the application, and oftentimes that would mean probably a month and a half, right? So you want to be proactive where that is concerned, and this is one of the things that you want to make sure that you are doing in a final semester. Now, in addition to your immigration journey, in addition to the flexibility of going to school part-time, the other thing that you want to do is to now assess where you are. And what I mean by where you are is, a lot of persons, when we come to Canada, a lot of persons just choose a rabbit out of a hat and end up someplace, right? While some persons are really targeted and calculated with where they end up. So some students might not like the city or might not like the province that they are in. Now, when you are graduating school, this is the perfect opportunity to transition to another province. So in your final semester, you want to be starting to do this research to see if it is that you are uncomfortable, if it is that you don't, for whatever reason, don't like the province that you are in. This is the time that you're going to start researching about other provinces, because this is the perfect time to move. Because the reason why it's the perfect time to move is because now, after graduating school, you're going to start accumulate your Canadian work experience, which will be valuable towards your Canadian experience class. Now, as it relates to your Canadian experience class, it looks on employment after you graduate, right? So employment that you have done while school is in session is obsolete, unless there's a temporary program like a TR to PR program or a similar type of program that might come out in the future. But if it is that you're gonna go for the Canadian experience class, employment that you do while school is in session is obsolete. Only employment that is done after you have completed your studies would be counted towards your Canadian experience class. It's very important to know that. So this is the time that you want to start doing your research, start making your decisions to see if you're not comfortable where you are at in terms of the province or the city, this is the time that you want to start matriculating and doing a research into another province, right? Now, one of the biggest thing that you want to do in the final semester as well is to network. Now, I can't overemphasize how much networking is important as a student, especially as an international student, because your network is going to determine a lot of stuff. So you want to start building relationships if you haven't built relationships already with your instructors, also with your peers, because oftentimes your classmates are the persons who are going to end up in different offices. And of course, when a job hunting, you might come across a lot of the same people, right? And you'd be so surprised to see how many of the persons who you're in class with, who you're gonna start seeing in other offices and probably be interviewing you. So you want to make sure that you start building relationships, building network if you haven't done so already, because if you're here and you're going to school for 2 years or you're here for a year, you want to make sure that you're network. But not tell us if you walk and talk to everybody, because some persons are antisocial, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are focusing on building relationships. And your final semester is when you have to use to get all of these things done, in addition to taking in everything that I've said previously in the video into consideration. You want to make sure that you are building a good network and you are preparing yourself for after college, right? The other thing that you want to do, guys, is to make sure that you have every single thing in place to graduate. Now, some persons just go through school and them do them program and they don't try to check up on their what do you call it again? Transcript. How can I forget that word? Some persons don't check them transcript regularly, and then when they think that they're graduating, they think they hear that, hey, they have this course outstanding or they have that elective to do and stuff like that. Make sure that you are on point when it comes on to your completion. Talk to your advisor, make sure that there's nothing outstanding, and get it done. Because a lot of persons end up in situation where they have to extend them study permit because they thought that they were going to be completing them studies, only to find out that they have outstanding courses to do. And you don't want to end up in that situation, right? So you want to make sure that you are on top of the ball game and making sure that everything is intact, right? One of the things that you also want to do is build a presence in your community in your final semester. And that can be in a number of ways, but more so volunteering. Be involved in some extracurricular activity outside of school. Get involved in the community, right? Find out whatever not-for-profit organizations that are in your area and just be a part of it. Be a part of it because, again, it comes back to network and broadening your horizon and definitely setting up yourself for success after school, right? You're not going to be able to use the student card anymore. When everyone find out that you're a student, them kind of open doors for you and stuff. Now you are done with studying, so whatever you do next is up to you. So you have to be intentional and you have to be proactive to make sure that in your final semester you are ready to graduate. And as I said, especially if you're here with family, your family depends on you as the international student. Whatsoever you do affects your family drastically. Your family cannot extend their permits and a visitor's record without you. You are in control of your family's future. Take it very seriously. Do not just go through the motion and hope for the best. Be intentional and make sure that you are doing everything that you can to make sure that when you graduate, everything is intact. Now, when you get that letter of completion from your college, you are expected to stop working immediately, right? Now, I've done quite a few videos about my experience in applying for the post-grad work permit, but I don't think that I went actually in depth in terms of all of the do's and the don'ts, which I probably should do a video about that. But it's very important to know that once you get your letter of completion from the college, you're expected to stop working immediately. As soon as you get the email, you're no longer a student. Your study permit gives you is now only a authorization document that allows you to stay in Canada. It doesn't allow you to work anymore, right? So as soon as you get your letter of completion from the college, you have to stop working immediately. Now, as soon as you apply for the postgrad work permit, you can start working immediately. Even as soon as it's submit and you pay your fee and you get your acknowledgement of receipt, you can start working, right? So what a lot of students do is to tailor it in such a way that as soon as them get the letter of completion, they have all the other documents ready. So as soon as them get the email today, them submit the application tonight so that they can continue working tomorrow, right? So all of these things are things that you have to be I would say you have to be prepared for, right? You have to be prepared for all of these things. So your final semester is when all of these things are into motion, when all of these things are put into practice, right? So as soon as you get your letter of completion from the college to say, congratulations, you have completed your 2-year diploma in whatever, and you are, completed. That's a letter of completion. You are no longer able to work unless you apply for your postgrad work permit. Now, after graduating or finishing school, and all you know when you finish school is when you get a letter of completion. In case you're confused, whenever you get a letter of completion, that is when your time as a student has ended. From that time of getting a letter of completion, you have 90 days in order to submit a postgrad work permit, right? So 90 days after getting that letter of completion, you can use that period of time to complete a study permit application. But if it is that you wait on the 89th day to submit it, bear in mind that you cannot work for 3 months, right? So as I said, a lot of students tailor it in such a way that as soon as them get the letter of completion, them submit them application immediately, and that's it. Now, the postgrad work permit is a fairly straightforward application. You don't need a job offer in order to apply for it. Check out IRCC website regularly to see if there's any updates on the website. Immigration is always changing. Immigration is always changing. Make sure that you are doing whatever research that you need to do to make sure that you are ahead of the game, that you are prepared, that you know what to expect, and especially if you have family, I keep coming back to that you are not leaving it to chance, right? Immigration is always changing, but typically I haven't heard of any much changes where postgrad is concerned, other than the fact that you're no longer going to be penalized if you work more than 20 hours, and that's because of the temporary policy. So definitely make sure that you are on track. Definitely make sure that you are doing your research. Definitely make sure that you are doing your research on IRCC's website. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Make sure that you are definitely doing your own research. Now, this video is primarily for my international students. I really hope that I was able to give you guys some information that is useful to you guys, that you guys can find valuable, and that definitely can assist with your transition from being a student to being on a postgrad work permit. All right, guys, if you have made it this far in the video, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Help me get to 5,000 subscribers. I'm depending on you. And also smash a like on the video, share the video as well, guys. Drop a comment. If you're watching from in Canada, let me know where you're watching from, and if you're watching from outside of Canada, let me know where you're watching from. All right, guys, have a good day, have a good night, have a good morning, afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is where you're at, and see you guys in the next video.